If you're a wrestler and your goal is to win high school, state, or youth state, I'm going to give you the framework to do so. It takes 3 steps. I think these are the most 3 important things. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, but if you follow this, you have a really, really high chance of winning state. Obviously, not everyone can win state, unfortunately, but this is going to give you your best chance, and that's all we can do. We can only control what we can control. First thing I'm going to say right away, year-round practice. I know I'm going to get some hate on this. I've posted other content about this, and people have been like, oh, other sports, blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, that's the world we're living in today. I mean, not really unfortunately. I did it, and I enjoyed it. But it just is how it is. Look at the people that are at the top level of the sport, and they're doing it year-round come high school. So I think that's a very, very important first step to actually taking your goal seriously and wanting to win a state title is year-round practice. It's going to obviously get you better at wrestling. You're going to be training consistently, and it's going to give you constant growth throughout the year rather than growth a couple months out of the year and you're trying to achieve a really, really big goal with 4 months of work. That would be like putting money into an investment account and the investor tells you, you know, this is a really good investment, but we can only invest your money 4 months out of the year. The other 8 months is just going to sit and stay stagnant, if not go down a little bit. So that wouldn't make very much sense. So if you're trying to achieve a big goal like winning state, then you have to invest all year round. The other thing I say that is there's plenty of opportunity now for it. You know, back in whoever's day, I'm too young to even know this day, but like back in the day, right? There wasn't clubs around that were practicing year round. It was people practicing in their basement, in their garages, maybe their high school rooms or something like that. So it was a lot less consistent than it is now. There's hundreds of kids practicing, if not thousands of kids, probably thousands of kids practicing year round all the time, 24/7, just focused on wrestling. And for you to think that you can practice 4 months out of the year and have a good chance of winning state, I think it's, good luck on that. And I'm sure it does happen. There's probably exceptions, but it's probably not going to work out great for you. So practice year round. I think that's a really, really good place to start getting better now. And it's going to give you a good jump start into winning state. The second thing I'm going to say, and this might sound weird to you, is set your goals higher than a state title. State titles are great. They're hard to come by and they're hard to do. Set your goals higher so the state title is along the way. And so you're like, oh, what's higher than that? Well, college wrestling, right? Be a college wrestler, be an All-American, be a national champ, be an Olympic wrestler, world champion, whatever it is that you want to set for yourself. If you're working towards that goal, a state title is on the route to achieving that goal. So you're probably going to hit your state title if you're working to be a national champ, right? Because a lot of national champs are state champions. So work like they do to win a national champion, and a state title will probably come pretty easy. Now, it's not going to be easy, but it'll probably come in the process of it. A lot of people, they fail at their goal because they set their goal and there's nothing beyond it. And so there's a lot of people that get really, really close to their goal and they fail, and they're like, oh man, I got really close to my goal, just didn't quite pull it off. And it's like, well, if you would have just set your goal to be a national champ, getting really, really close to being a national champ would win you a state title. And obviously there's time and stuff like that. So if you're a junior in high school or a senior in high school watching this, seniors, you only got maybe a month and a half left. Juniors, you got a year to a month and a half. Not too late for you, but obviously you have shorter time than a freshman watching this where he's like, okay, I'm going to implement these 3 things. They have a lot higher likelihood of winning a state title than you guys, but not saying it's impossible for you. With higher expectations come more work. If you're expecting to be a All-American or a national champ, you're going to work a lot harder than just expecting to be a state champ because they're a lot harder to do. And the third thing is your work ethic and just believing in yourself. So obviously we've talked about work ethic in here. I'm big on work ethic when I coach. And it's coming in every single day with a focused game plan. Like, know why you're doing something, know why you're working so hard at it, and it's going to be easier to come into practice with a focused game plan. And when I say a focused game plan, I'm talking about coming into practice and not just doing what coach tells you to, because he's giving you the best advice to try to get to where you're going, but you also need to want it yourself and want to do other things. You need to take your own wrestling in consideration and be like, hey, where do I need to get better at? And then work before practice, after practice, during private lessons, during practice. Even if coach gives you 15 minutes to work on your takedowns, what are you going to work on? If coach gives you 15 minutes to work on top or bottom, what are you going to work on? You should have something in your head all the time where, hey, if coach gives me 15 minutes to work in practice, I have something that I need to work on and that I need to focus on to get better at. If you don't, then you should probably get something and probably start thinking about that stuff, because you thinking about your own wrestling is one of the most important things you can do. Second thing that kind of goes into believing in yourself is believe in your training. You're training year round now. You're focused. You have your goals set high. You're doing all the work that you think is necessary. And if you don't know how much work is necessary, ask someone that's been there. Ask someone that's been there. Or if you don't know anyone that's been there, ask someone that's been as close as possible or around people that have been there. Because, not every coach is going to, take me for example. I've never won a state title. I feel pretty competent to be able to coach a kid to a state title just because of, my expertise outside of the sport through Division I wrestling and other coaching opportunities. So ask people that know people that have been there or know the work that it takes to get there. And then believe in that training. You're putting all this time in. It's no good if you go out there and get anxious or nervous because you're like, oh, am I not good enough? It doesn't matter if you're not good enough or you are good enough, right? There's only one way to go out and wrestle the match, and it's as hard as you can. Training's already been done. There's no need to be anxious about it. Just go out and compete hard. Believe in what you did. Believe in your goals. Believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, take other people's belief. I'm sure you got a coach or your dad or your mom or your brother and sister. I'm sure someone believes in you. Take their belief, put it into your own system. And then lastly, execute. We kind of just talked about it. Go out, win the match, right? Wrestle as hard as you can. Try to score as many points as you can. That's going to give you the highest likelihood of winning matches and winning state titles. Hope you enjoyed this video.